Hi there, and welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And today we are going to make the easiest Cajun shrimp boil ever. And today I'm going to do things just a little bit differently. I'm going to use my 8-quart Ninja Foodi. Now don't worry about it though. You can make this in the 6.5 quart without any problems. I have done it before. But I wanted to try to make bread to go with our dinner at the same time. So we're going to do that together, and I needed the extra room in the 8-quart to be able to fit the bread pan on top. Well, at least I'm hoping it'll fit. So we'll find out real soon. All right, so to make a shrimp boil, it's basically a dump and pressure cook type of thing. So what I have here are some ingredients. I have some andouille sausage. This is about 14 ounces, and I have just cut them into halves, so lengthwise. So I just took a knife and just cut them in half. And I just think that makes them look pretty. You could leave them whole, you could cut them in chunks, however you want to do it. No problems whatsoever. Usually I use 2 onions, but guess what? I only had 1 today, and that's the beauty of a dish like this. 1 onion, 2 onions, 3 onions, doesn't matter. So I've quartered up 1 Vidalia onion, and I've got a seasoning blend here that I'm not going to go over the exact measurements because I can't remember, but I will link to the written recipe below. So just click the see more and it will open up in the YouTube video and it will show you the link to the recipe so you can get the exact amount of each of the seasonings that I'm using. What I am using though is mustard seed, cumin seed, coarse sea salt, some bay leaves, and some black peppercorns. And the reason why I want to try to keep these spices whole is just because I think that that's more traditional way when you're steaming shrimp. I don't want a lot of powder in there, so I'm going to use whole spices. And in fact, I almost always use fine grind sea salt, but this time I am using coarse sea salt. So the granules are just a little bit bigger than a fine grind. Okay, so let's get started with dumping in ingredients and then I'll kind of explain the rest of them as we go. So the first thing I'm gonna put in is my onion. I'm gonna put that down at the bottom. And then I'm gonna save my zucchini for a little bit later. I'm gonna cut up my potatoes in just a second, but I wanted to get out the corn. So I have 3 ears of corn. And I left the husk on. And I did that on purpose. Now you could take the husk off, it's no problem. But the reason why I did it this way is because normally when you serve a shrimp boil or a crab boil, you usually are gonna like dump it out on a big platter or on, newspaper or, any kind of a surface that's covered in, something, paper, whatever it is. And so I wanted to keep the corn warm while you wait for your friends to gather around and fix their plates. And the husk will do that. So I wanted to keep them in the husk, but again, you can take them out of the husk, no problems. The other reason why I like cooking corn in the husk is because it makes it so easy to peel that silk off, those little strands. So it makes it super easy. All right, so I'm gonna just put these in the bottom of the Ninja Foodi. Set that over there. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna put in is my potatoes. Now, I would usually use like 6 potatoes that are about this size, but I had 2 big ones that I wanted to use up. So it's no big deal. We're just gonna make sure we cut them in the same size. So for these, I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna quarter these. Now you wanna keep your chunks fairly large because even though we're only going to go under pressure for 2 minutes, which seems like, oh, that's no time at all, the pot, it's going to be really full. So it's going to take a while to come to pressure. And that time to pressure is cook time. So we want to keep our chunks on the large side so that they don't overcook. So I'm just going to finish cutting these up. And these littler ones, I'm just going to put them in half. And that way the sizes are about the same. I'm trying to put the potatoes and everything kind of around the edge. In the center, I want to have some room because remember, I want to try to make that bread at the same time. That'll be so cool, won't it? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get my chicken stock in and my seasoning blend. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour that in. This is 2 cups of chicken stock. You could use water as well, or vegetable stock, or I don't think beef stock would be that great, but if you wanted to use it, you certainly could. And I'm gonna take 1 jalapeno pepper, seeds and all, but again, this is optional. You don't need to do it. I'm not even gonna worry about chopping it up. I'm just gonna take the end off, cut it in half, and throw it in. Let's see, what else? Seasoning blend. So let's get that sprinkled in there. Perfect. 1 bulb of garlic, and this was kind of a small bulb of garlic, so I might have like 8 or 9 cloves here. And all I did was remove the paper and smash them a little bit. And in fact, if you're not gonna eat the garlic, you don't even have to remove the paper. You could just throw them in. They're still gonna infuse that flavor into your boil. All right, now, last couple of ingredients we're gonna put in is the andouille sausage. I'm just gonna dump that right on top there. And again, I'm moving things around so that I have a little bit of room for this bread that I hope we can get it done. Now, I'm gonna add in a couple of these little dried peppers. And I did this in the Ninja Foodi. So I have a lot of pepper plants outside. So when they were, ready to be picked, and obviously I can't use that many of them, I went ahead and used the dehydration function and dehydrated them. So now I can use them, all throughout the winter. All right, we've got about 4 sprigs of thyme. I'm just gonna throw that in right on top. No need to take the leaves off at all. And I'm gonna take a lemon, and I'm just gonna add that on top. Now you wanna add your lemon on top, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you put it at the bottom, what happens as the water's boiling is it releases the bitterness from the rind of the lemon. So we wanna make sure it's on top so it's just kind of gently steaming and not boiling away, or you will taste some bitterness in the sauce. And I don't know if it would transfer to the food necessarily, but in the liquid it would be pretty bitter. And so we don't want that. Or maybe it might transfer to the corn. I'm not sure. Just put it on top and it will be fine. All right, so now let's get the last few ingredients in, and we're gonna use some shrimp here, which I have frozen because I wanna make sure that they don't overcook in the 2 minutes of cooking time. So I'm gonna pull my shrimp up here that are frozen, and I'm gonna add a little bit of water to them, just a little bit, just about 3/4 of a cup, and I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle it around. And I didn't even use it all. And then I've got my shrimp seasoning. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up a little bit. And again, I'm not gonna put out the exact measurements, but I will have them in the written description. Some mustard seed, cumin, salt, fine grind this time, pepper, a little bit of smoked paprika, and a little bit of garlic. And that's garlic powder, not salt. And these are large shrimp. They're 35 to 40 per pound, and they are they're already deveined, but they have the shell on and the tail on. You could put in raw shrimp, but if you do, definitely don't put them in at this point. So if they're not frozen and they don't have the shell on them, don't do it at this point. What you're gonna do is after the 2 minutes of pressure cooking is up, then you're gonna put them in over top and just either close the lid or do a little steam action for a few minutes until they get completely steamed, because otherwise they're just gonna overcook. All right, so now I'm gonna put my shrimp in here. I'm not gonna grab the extra water. I just wanted that to kind of coat the shrimp a little bit so that the seasoning sticks to it. Now I'm trying to go around the edge. Now this is one big glob there. We'll see if we can get that in, okay. Because I really wanna put that bread pan on top, and I'm hoping I have room. So I'm gonna try to keep the center open. Now, if I pressure cook the bread, it's not gonna brown up, but that's okay because afterwards we can always just put the Tender Crisp lid down, uncover it, and go ahead and brown up the top of the bread. And I'm cheating this time, guys. I'm using already made store-bought bread. I didn't make my own. It's unusual for me, but I figured this would be a quick way to go about it if you didn't want to make your own bread. All right, so that's it. Again, I'm not gonna put the liquid in. Now you could, it's not gonna hurt anything, but the more liquid in the pot, the longer it's gonna take to come to pressure. All right, so I have two. I also have a zucchini that I'm gonna get in if I can, but the zucchini's not as important to me as the bread is, so I'm gonna go ahead and see. Now, I think this is gonna be a little bit too big. This is an 8-inch Fat Daddy-O pan. I could probably just a little bit too big. Now you can go above the pot when you go under pressure, but I think that's gonna be too big. So let's stick with the smaller one. That way I can make a little bit more room in the center and it can nestle down in there a little bit more. Again, this is completely optional. All right, I think that'll be good. So what I have here is just a French bread from Pillsbury that you get in the refrigerated section of your grocery store. And I'm gonna open that up and I'm gonna make little rolls with it. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to use the whole loaf and make 6 little rolls, but we'll see. I'll remove the paper here. And then give it a little, I always hate this. Ooh. I don't know why that scares me, but it does. All right, so let's take this out. I'm gonna just dump it right here. Oh, it smells good. Perfect. All right, so let's see. I wanna take off about maybe 2 inches. I'm just gonna pinch it off. Then I'm gonna play with it a little bit, and I'm gonna do what we do, whoops, and I'm gonna do what we do when I make my homemade rolls. So I'm just gonna stretch it out into a little disc, and then I'm gonna pop it through and twist it off. That way you've got a nice little round there that can go right in here. And that looks like it's a perfect size because it's giving enough room when it starts to rise. And I might get all these in. You can butt them right up against each other. That's not gonna be any problem. And we're gonna, of course, go under pressure. And hopefully they'll cook in the 2-minute pressure cook time, which I think they will because it's gonna take a little while to come up to pressure. I would say probably 15 to 20 minutes is what I'm gonna guess. And when I made this recipe before, because I made it on Tasty Tuesday as a test run, and if you haven't checked that out, I will link to my Facebook group, Simply Cooking with Louise, below in the video description. You can certainly come on over to Facebook and join that group. I cook live every other Tuesday, and it's a lot of fun. So during that live cooking demo for the Cajun shrimp boil, I used 4 cups of chicken stock. And today we're gonna use 2 because it took a really long time to come to pressure, and I'm hoping decreasing to 2 cups is going to speed that process up. All right, so they're about the same size. Not exact, but about. All right, perfect. Okay, so if this works out, this is gonna be super cool. Now, we do need to cover it because we have to prevent it from getting water in there. So you could use any kind of a covering. I'm gonna use foil this time, although I do have these silicone toppers that I love to use, but because I'm looking at, the room that I have in here, I'm thinking if I put the silicone on, I'm thinking it's just the shrimp is gonna prevent it from really sealing, and you really want this to be sealed. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off a little bit and wrap it around, and I'm gonna wrap it around the underside pretty tightly. All right, now let's nestle this in. Now the one thing when you're adding in any kind of container that's gonna sort of sit a little bit above the pot, because of the shape of the pressure lid, you can get away with going a little bit higher than the pot edge, but make sure it's to the front, not to the back, so it doesn't interfere with the sealing, okay? All right, it looks like we can probably get this zucchini in. Now, the zucchini, when I did this for Tasty Tuesday, I cut them in large wheels, and they ended up overcooking a little bit. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna try, I won't be able to fit it in whole, I don't think. So I'm trying to think of how, let me see if I can make it, let me try it if I can do it in half. Let's see. Might get one in there. You know what? That's gonna work out fine. All right, everything is in, and now we can get our pressure lid on and set the pressure to 2 minutes. Line up your arrows. Go ahead and make sure it's on seal in the back. That's very important. Turn the Ninja Foodi on. Go to pressure. High is what we want. And we're going to go to 2 minutes. and hit the start button. Now again, I'm expecting this to take 15 to 20 minutes to come up to pressure. I did decrease the liquid to 2 cups versus 4 cups that I did in the Tasty Tuesday demo because it took forever to come to pressure. So I'm hoping that that's gonna help, but it's still gonna take some time, so be patient with it. And meanwhile, we will make up some Cajun butter. So to make Cajun butter, it's super easy. You want to get a bowl, 1 stick or 2 sticks, just depending on how much you want to make, of salted butter. I don't have salt in the seasoning mix, so if you're not using salted butter, you might add just, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon or so of salt to this. So we're going to open up the butter. I've let this come to room temperature for about an hour or so, and we're going to put it right into the bowl here. And then I have my seasoning blend, and I, again, can't remember the exact amount because I used quite a few seasonings here, so I'm not going to go over that, but it will be in the description, or it will be in the recipe for sure. So what I have here is some brown sugar, a very little bit. That's just to kind of balance out the heat. I've got a little bit of smoked paprika, little bit of cumin, little bit of onion powder, little bit of garlic powder, and a tiny bit of chipotle powder, which is optional if you don't want to kick. You certainly don't have to use it, but I happen to love it. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up a little bit just to get everything incorporated. Now you can start out with half of this amount if you wanted to, just to see how it blends in with the butter so it doesn't become, too overpowering for you. But I happen to love a really well seasoned butter. And it's going to taste delicious on our rolls, and it's also going to taste delicious over our corn and the shrimp. You could melt it and dip the shrimp in. Ooh, it's going to be so good. Just breaking up some of that brown sugar. It's been sitting here, so it's got a little bit clumpy, but that's okay. All right, so let's start out. Just add in half of it. Then you could use a spoon or a spatula or anything just to kind of incorporate it all in. I'm using my scoop and spread, which I just love. I use it all the time. It smells so good. I wish I had a piece of bread here to taste it. Now I can just tell by the way it looks that I can add in the whole amount. But if you wanted to give it a try without putting in the other half, please do. If you wanted to skip this all together, you certainly can. You don't need Cajun butter, but with a Cajun shrimp boil, it sure is delicious. Oh, wow. The smell is just out of this world. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So guess what we just made? We just made a compound butter. So when you hear people say, oh, and I'm going to serve it with a compound butter, that's all it is. Mix in some ingredients into a stick of butter and you're good to go. You have made a compound butter. So now we've made Cajun compound butter and it's going to be delicious with our shrimp boil. So now we just have to wait for the Ninja Foodi to do its thing, and I'm starting to hear it working down there. So I'm thinking maybe another 15 minutes before we come to pressure. Then we'll go under pressure for 2, and we will do an immediate release, and we'll see what happened with that bread and the rest of our dinner. All right, so we just finished the 2 minutes of pressure cooking. Now, it did take probably about 20 minutes to come up to pressure, 15 to 20 minutes to come up to pressure for the red button to pop up. And then it took an additional 5 minutes or so to actually start the countdown. So just keep that in mind. Don't worry about that. It does take a little bit of time because it is a super full pot. Immediately release the pressure. All right, the smell in here is amazing right now. You can see it took quite a bit of time for all the pressure to release. That is to be expected. It's, again, a super full pot, so there was a lot of steam to be released. Now the red button has depressed, so we can go ahead and open up the lid. Make sure you do this away from you. There we go. Perfect. All right, I'm just gonna grab this rack here. Actually, let me move this for a second. Make sure you have some good gloves on when you reach in here, or use tongs, but for now I'm just gonna lift that bread out. So I wanna make sure that my fingers are protected from the steam and everything. Okay, now, you know what? I don't like working on this rack. I have dropped things so many times, it slips off. I'm gonna put this on hold for a second. Oh, the moment of truth. The moment of truth. Did this work? Let's see. Now I know we're gonna have to, oh, it's really tight on there. I know we're gonna have to go and broil it a little bit, but I'm gonna brush it with some of that Cajun butter, I think, and put it back in. I can also, I'm looking over there at the shrimp, and you know, they're probably gonna be okay, but they look like they might have overcooked just a little bit. All right, these did work. They did work. Now, will they be good? I don't know yet. So we'll find that out in just a minute, but they look pretty good. So let's see. So let's go ahead and brush them with a little bit of this Cajun butter all over the top. Yummy. Oh my gosh. They did cook, and they rose up a little bit. Not a whole lot, so they might be a little dense, but we'll find out. All right, that looks perfect. So now let me set this over to the side just so we can get out our dinner, and then we'll throw in the rack and we'll broil those up. All right, so let me bring this up here and get some tongs, and let's see what we have here. So we've got our zucchini. So I'm just gonna put that up like that. Now that feels pretty good. So it didn't really fall apart. It split a little bit. It's soft. We've got some shrimp clinging there. That's fine. And you know what? Let's go ahead. Well, actually, it's pretty hot. I'll hold on to that. I'll taste that in just a minute. We've got our sausage, which looks great. I'm gonna put this lemon to the side here. And our potato, that seems good. So let's get this shrimp out. Kind of pile it all up. Now you could always just pile it up on, you know, like I said, newspapers or something, but I'm gonna use this little container, this little dish here to put them in. That hot pepper, I'm gonna take that out now so nobody accidentally grabs that, because that would be super hot. This is looking great though. I mean, I'm a little concerned about the shrimp being a little overcooked. So what you can do if you want to not have that happen at all, you can put them in, like right after you release the pressure, throw the shrimp in and either close the lid and let them just steam in, you know, what the remaining steam that's in there, or you can even put the steam function on and do that for about 3 to 4 minutes and they'll steam up. That's what I did when I tested the recipe during Tasty Tuesday. But this time I thought, you know what? This is supposed to be a dump and go, so I wanted to just dump everything in and we'll see how they taste. They might be fine. This looks beautiful though. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's get out that corn. And you know what? I'm not really using the right tool here. So I'm gonna grab something else that's gonna make this a lot quicker. And it's called this scoop and drain, and I'll show it to you in just 1 second. The scoop and drain, okay? Another Pampered Chef product that I happen to love, because you scoop things out and you can drain the juice. Makes it super easy. And a lot quicker than tongs, especially when you've got a bunch of different things in here like I do. All right, I'm just gonna pile this on. Now, I'm not gonna worry about dumping the liquid. If you wanted to, you could dump the liquid over top of your shrimp boil, or you could dump it now, but I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it in, even though that will create some steam when I'm broiling the rolls on top. It's not gonna matter enough for me to worry about it. This looks so good. It smells amazing. What an easy, easy dinner. And this would easily feed 6 to 8 people for sure. All right, that looks good. Last little shrimp out of there. All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, this is a little hot, but I'm gonna go ahead and move this here, and we're gonna get that rack, get our pan here, just put it, yeah, let's put it down like this. Even though I'm going under broil, I'm gonna go ahead and put it down like that. Now that rack is actually for the 6.5 quart, so it sits a little lower, but that'll be okay. All right, so we're gonna go broil 10 minutes. And let's see what happens with that bread. Meanwhile, let's see what the shrimp is like. Actually, you know what? I think it's fine. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, skip everything I said about it being overcooked because it's like butter. Oh my goodness. Hands down, that's the best shrimp I've ever had in my life. I cannot wait for my husband Jeff to try this because he's not a huge fan of shrimp, but I guarantee you he's gonna love this. Wow, amazing. Flavors are really good too. I can't stop eating them. All right, so we're just gonna broil that just for a few minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and plate up the rest of my Cajun shrimp boil. And I'm gonna use paper plates. I don't often use paper plates, but I'm gonna use paper plates because that's the kind of meal it is, right? All right, so let me take a potato, an andouille sausage, piece of corn here. That's an awful big one. I think I could use a littler one. Piece of corn. What else do we have? Oh, okay, so the zucchini, I'm gonna have to cut that. I certainly wouldn't eat that whole thing. So let me grab a knife here. Oh, the texture's nice. Perfect. Oh, wow. Oh, this just screams summer meal to me. Oh, I'm so excited. Little onion. I love onion. I'm like looking around. Did I forget something? I think that's all that we put in there, right? Potatoes and onions, and there's some garlic in there. I'm not going to worry about that. I know what garlic tastes like. So yeah, so I think we're good. So let's just wait for our rolls to just brown up a little bit, and then I'll get this will cool down just a little bit, and I'll be able to handle it and remove the husk. We'll put on some Cajun butter, and we'll get to tasting. Oops, you caught me eating another one. I can't stop. These shrimp are so good. It's unbelievable. All right, let's check on the bread. All right, so I'm seeing some of them in the back here getting pretty brown, and the ones in the front not as much. I'm not sure why. That's kind of odd, but I think they're ready to come out anyway. So let's go ahead and take them out. I'm just gonna grab the pan here. Close it back up. And turn the Ninja Foodi off because we are done. All right, now let's see if I can get one of these out easily. Take my fork here. Oh my gosh. The top is nice and crunchy now. I can't touch the pan though because it's hot. Smells really good. It stuck to the bottom just a little bit. Anyway, look at that. We made bread with our Cajun shrimp boil. So I'm super excited to give it a try. So let's husk this corn. And if it worked out right, all of the silk will just come right off with that husk, and it looks like it is. These probably aren't the best ears of corn, so hopefully where you are, you can find a little bit better ears of corn. It's funny because we have cornfields everywhere you go, but finding corn in the grocery stores is difficult. Seems funny. And we grew our own corn too, but it didn't really do that well. So that'll be another thing for next year. I'll learn how to make corn better. So basically, almost all the silk just came right off. So that's good. And that's one of the advantages to doing it in the husk. All right, so let's get some of this Cajun butter brushed on. I'm gonna brush a little bit on the corn. Oh, gosh, it smells amazing. Brush a little bit on the potato. Oh, what the hey. A little bit on there. And then save a little bit. Let me go ahead and cut this roll open. Well, it's a little dense on the inside. See what it tastes like. I might not do that again. But we'll see. Let's give it a taste. It's good. Wow. It's not super light and fluffy. When I made my own homemade bread, it was a lot fluffier. And you know what? I didn't read the instructions on that package because I don't ever really make packaged bread products. Maybe I was supposed to let it rise first. That could have been the problem. I'll have to check on that. I'm sure one of you guys know. You can leave me a comment and let me know. That could have been my mistake. All right, let's go ahead and taste the andouille sausage. Very good. I love andouille sausage. Now let's see if the potato picked up some of the seasoning. It's cooked perfectly, so I'm really happy with that. In my test recipe, it overcooked a little bit, so I like using the 2 cups of chicken stock versus the 4. I think that's what did it. Came up to pressure a little bit faster too. That's good. Very good. Yum. Oh, I'm loving the texture of the zucchini. It is not that mushy, so it's cooked perfectly, but it's not like super, super soft. Very good. All right, the onion. I love onions. Oh, that's delicious. All right, guys, I've already tried the shrimp. You know that's perfect. So let's do one last thing, and then we'll know, was this a total success, which I think it's going to be. Oh my gosh, don't skip this Cajun butter. It is absolutely perfect. All right, this one is a home run for sure. Super easy to do. It's gonna feed the whole family. If you don't have the 8-quart, don't worry. You can do the same meal in the 6.5-quart. Just skip the bread. I want to thank you so much. Whether you're a YouTube subscriber or a part of Ninja Foodi 101 on Facebook or Ninja Foodi Fresh and Healthy, or you follow me on Instagram or Pinterest or wherever you follow me, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Your support is amazing and I appreciate it so much. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're interested, you can do that right over there.